Once you see the sense of life they can portray, nothing else matters, does it? Hi, I'm Shaul. A viewer of the channel asked me of my opinion of the new Thypok 24 to 50 millimeter f2.8. It is importantly the first autofocusing zoom made by a Chinese manufacturer for a mirrorless camera. I'm quite glad it's Thypok who jumped on this opportunity first. It will obviously not be the last zoom made by a Chinese manufacturer. In fact, I expect that in 5 years' time there will be lots of competing Chinese autofocusing zooms. But Thypok seems to know what they are doing. They have been making some excellent lenses, such as the one filming me now, the Thypok Chimera 28mm f1.4. The new zoom is a nice thing. It is internal focusing, internal zooming, and the focal range of 20 to 50 millimeter on a full frame camera is quite useful. It covers everything from ultra wide to normal. To me, at least, it's the main range of focal lengths I would use. The optical formula is 16 elements in 13 groups. 3 of those elements are high refractive index ones. 3 of them are ED elements, and one element is aspherical. That formula in itself suggests that it is quite a modern rendering lens. It should be quite high resolving, quite suitable to be used on a high megapixel full frame camera. Of course, being a new lens, I have not had a chance to shoot with it, to test it. However, Dustin Abbott did try it and analyze the results obtained by it at different apertures, at different focal lengths. And his conclusion is that it is a nice, sharp lens with slightly softer corners and edges that curiously do not sharpen up even as you close down the aperture. This might be attributed to a slight field curvature. Field curvature is a sought after feature, especially in the cinema world. The Cook look is mostly affected by such a field curvature that makes the center of the image nice and sharp, while there's a gradual loss of sharpness as you move away from the center. This has the effect of bringing the center forward. I quite like this type of rendering. It makes the image slightly more dimensional. Looking at sample images in Dustin Abbott's YouTube review reveals that indeed it has something extra compared to your conventional modern zoom. I wouldn't define it as a 3D pop in the usual way, but it does render the image nicely. It has some depth to it, some sense of likeness to what you see with your native eyes, which is what I am after when looking at lenses. It's not a very prominent effect though, which is understandable, thinking of the lenses this type-of zoom has to compete with. It might surprise you that you can have some sense of dimensionality of 3D pop in a zoom lens. But historically, there were many such zoom lenses made. One of my favorites is a very versatile zoom, the humble 28 to 105 made by Nikon. That was introduced in 1998, 28 years ago, and was kitted with Nikon F100, the last prosumer film camera made by Nikon. The 28105 is a AFD type zoom, so it doesn't have an autofocus motor of its own. It is dependent on a motor located in the camera. That made it quite a retro lens at the time of introduction, because by that time Nikon has already moved to the AFS focusing system. But that type of autofocusing solution makes the lens smaller. It doesn't have to contain any electronics, and it is quite a light and compact thing. Now, as you zoom, the lens will extend slightly. The 28 to 105 is a rather versatile zoom. It has a macro mode that can be activated in the range between 50 and 105 millimeters. And, that turns the lens into a 1 to 2 macro with about 20 centimeter close focusing. Importantly, the optical formula of this lens is 16 elements in 12 groups. None of those elements are ED, and there is one plastic aspherical element. It is quite an affordable lens, especially these days. I think I paid $60 for it. And you might think it's just a cheap, low-quality kit lens, but it has some qualities that are not easily found these days. The question about the Thypoc 20 to 50 triggered me to use this lens this weekend when I shot the Harvest Festival in our little rural community. In fact, it was the only lens I used in that occasion. This lens does not match well with mirrorless camera, so I had to mount it on an older DSLR, which is equipped with an autofocus motor required to autofocus this lens. I shot it with this dinosaur of a camera, the Nikon D4S. It's a mere 16 megapixel camera introduced in 2014, 12 years ago. This camera is clearly not designed for such cheap kit lenses. But nevertheless, it produced some fantastic images. The images I managed to obtain with this combo look quite different from what you may expect from your typical modern zoom. Those images are rich, they are full. Each depicted object has its own space, structure, the curvature of surfaces is very well portrayed by this older optic. And I suspect that it is due to the gentle gradation, the delicate tonal transition between surfaces. Everything in those images seems to be coated by a sort of wax or patina that helps separate each object from the environment, from the rest of the scene. That gives those images that rich sense of three-dimensionality, of life that I like so much. It is not a very sharp lens, not compared to other modern lenses. But the level of detail, the level of sharpness is quite adequate. Yes, it does suffer from some chromatic aberration, but when you look at those images, it is the last thing you look for. This lens in general is harmonic. It makes images that are similar to what you expect to see with your native eyes in your daily life. In fact, those results I obtained merit getting an older DSLR in order to use this lens to its full potential. That also made me think. I've been exploring lenses for a long time. I keep acquiring new lenses that seem to be nicer than the ones I already have. And sometimes I forget that lenses are made to be used, not to be analyzed and compared. After you use an optic for a long time, you start knowing it really well. You know what to expect, how it behaves in different conditions. Let me try to mount 28 to 105 on this stupid monster adapter, so I can show you what the video taken with it looks like. I don't really like this adapter. It is clunky, its autofocus is noisy. It doesn't behave very well on a mirrorless camera, but nonetheless, I'm curious to see what the footage will look like. I'm now shooting on the Nikon ZF with that 28 to 105 millimeter old Nikon zoom. I'm shooting at 28 millimeter wide open at f3.5. And I think that the image is quite nice. You can probably notice the feeling of dimensionality, the fullness of the image, of the footage, the 3D pop. Now, I don't know how well the autofocus works. It is not an ideal solution. The best solution for using this lens is mounting it on a DSLR that is made to shoot with it. Sadly, no manufacturer makes such zooms anymore. These days, everything seems to revolve around resolution, which is silly, in my opinion. Images are not made to be cropped. Manufacturers seem to compete with each other on how much you can crop the images made by the cameras, by the lenses. When cropping an image, you don't only reduce the number of pixels you work with. We have enough pixels. You don't need many of them to make a decent print. The thing is that when you crop the lens too. You get rid of some of the optical characteristics that might be unique. They might make the images look special. When you crop, you make everything in the image harsher. You get rid of the delicate gradations, the fine transitions between adjacent surfaces. You enhance aberrations like noise, like chromatic aberrations, and you make the image worse. The more you crop, the more cropped the image will look. I can't really ignore that. When I see a cropped image, I know it is cropped. It looks cropped. That is, of course, more apparent when you use a nice lens like this. But even with modern, more clinical lenses, there is also always something amiss when you only use a small section of the entire captured image area. The main advantage of a large sensor is the smaller magnification ratio when transferring the image caught on a sensor to a print or a full-size display. When you crop, you increase that magnification ratio, and the image will obviously degrade. Eventually, a good image is defined by the feeling it evokes in the viewer, not by the technical perfection, not by the amount of details that can be captured. And lenses such as this one can remind us of that. If anyone tried to make such a lens in 2026, they would be dismissed for making an inferior optic that does not comply with the modern standards of cleanliness, of resolving power. Again, all you have to do is look at images that are made with such lenses. Once you see the sense of life they can portray, nothing else matters, does it? I think that will be all for today. If you like this video, if you find it helpful in any way, please consider buying me a coffee. It's a nice gesture between gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching, and see you again soon.